Do you want to talk your parents into buying you a dirt bike for Christmas? You came to the right place because I think I can help. I actually made this video a year or two ago about how to get your parents to buy you a dirt bike. Number one, gain a bunch of weight. And it was really just for fun. It was a little bit more on the lighthearted side. Number two, pay someone to punch you in the face. I guess people didn't really appreciate my sense of humor. So I got a lot of comments, people saying to do the video again, but for reals this time. So that's what I'm gonna try to do now. I'm gonna try to do a video about how to get your parents to buy you a dirt bike, and I'll try to be as unfunny as possible. I think I have a little bit of experience in this. I've been a kid, obviously, who wanted dirt bikes and things. So I know what it's like to be little and have something that you want really bad that's completely out of your hands and out of your control if you can get it or not. And I've also been a dad, not a very good one, but I know what it's like to have kids that you know want something, but you're also balancing lots of other things that you have to take care of, and things don't always work out. You can't always give your kids what you want. So here it is. There's 3 reasons that I can think of why your parents might object to getting you a dirt bike. 1, it's dangerous. 2, they can't afford it. And 3, they're horrible people or they hate you. I'm gonna cover each one of these individually. If there's anything else that you could think of, if there's any other objections that you could think of that you want me to cover, leave a comment below and I'll probably do that in a future video. I guess the first thing you gotta do is you gotta figure out what your parents' objection is. If you don't know, then just ask them. But you gotta be careful with that, because if you say, can I have a dirt bike, and then your parents say no, and then you say, why not? That can come across as rude or disrespectful. So I would word it this way. How come? I'm just kidding. Now, if your parents say no, I would say this. What can I do to make it possible for me to get a dirt bike? If you come at it from that angle, maybe they'll be more open to talking to you about it. Who knows? They might just say, get your grades up, or mow the lawn, or wash the car, or rub my feet, and then we'll get you a dirt bike. If not, hopefully they'll just say, it's the money, or it's too dangerous, or we don't love you. If they open up and they tell you why, then we have something to work with. Then we know what to say next. Objection number 1, it's dangerous. To this I say, no crap. Of course it's dangerous. You're riding dirt bikes. Pretty much anytime you're doing anything fun or exciting or creating a memory or living life in a way that you're gonna be proud of later on, there's gonna be risk and you might get hurt. But parents love their kids and they wanna protect their kids and they hate seeing their kids get hurt. I get that. So my advice is, if they're not down with getting a dirt bike or a YZ125 or a KTM 85 or something like that, a high performance race bike, try to negotiate with them. Say, how about a pit bike? Would a pit bike be okay? That would be a great start. Pit bikes are pretty cheap. They're not nearly as fast, but they're also really fun. They're fun bikes to ride. So that would be a great way to start if your parents think it's too dangerous. And also, parents, I would say, keep this in mind. If your kid is starting out, they're probably going pretty slow. It's not too dangerous to ride a dirt bike when you're first starting out. When we go to the track nowadays and there's experienced people racing, it is dangerous. There's probably a broken arm or collarbone or someone leaving in the ambulance pretty much every time we race. But keep in mind, those are experienced racers going a lot faster, jumping a lot further than your typical kid who's just starting out learning to ride around the backyard. So really, I would not fear your kid getting hurt when they are first starting out. Actually, I'm changing my advice from a few years ago. A few years ago, I would say, if your parents are nervous about you getting hurt, take them to the track, introduce them to some families, some people who are in racing, and they'll see like, okay, it's not a big deal. But now I realize that's a good way to scare parents away, because there's the opportunity that on the day you go to the track with your parents, somebody gets seriously hurt and leaves in an ambulance, and then you're screwed. So I don't know if that's a good idea. Maybe find somebody, maybe find like some weekend warriors or like someone who does it as a hobby, and have your parents get to know them or talk to them. Other parents are probably gonna be better at talking your parents into it than you will be at talking your parents into it. But, almost forgot, whatever you do, do not have your parents talk to the fastest kids in your area. If you have any local really fast kids, if there's any like top amateur riders, I'm talking about like the Tristan Pruitts of the world or Canyon Richards, keep your parents away from them, because those kids, they have a long list of injuries that they've gone through. But that's what you have to do. Like, if you want to get to that level, you're gonna have to ride a lot and train a lot and push yourself. And you're gonna have crashes and break bones, injury after injury. That would scare the crap out of most parents. And there's no reason to like put them through that, because that's the best of the best. That's the top amateur riders. So do not introduce them to one of those riders, because it's just gonna scare them and give them an unrealistic expectation. You're most likely not going to have that many injuries. You're not gonna rack up those kind of medical bills. So why even scare your parents? Objection number 2, money. So this is gonna be a hard one to tackle, because obviously everyone is in a different financial situation. To some people, a $5,000 dirt bike is no big deal. To others, it's completely unrealistic. I know for myself what it's like living paycheck to paycheck, and to be asked to sacrifice that much money to go towards something that is recreational, it's a big ask, especially if you think about, okay, let me put this into perspective. So last year, I don't know, 10 months ago, we bought Mason a TC 50. We bought it used. It was a 2017, and we paid about $2,000 for it. Since that time, we've had the motor rebuilt, the top and bottom end. It's had a new clutch. We upgraded to a $300 throttle housing, a $300 carburetor, all new electrical, the stator. All those things have been replaced on that bike. And we have spent more than $2,000. We have spent more money in the maintenance of this bike than we actually did for the purchase of this bike. And that's not including the track fees, the race fees, the gas, the coaching. So it adds up quick, guys. This sport is no joke. It's a money pit for sure. So my advice last year, if you asked me a year ago, I would have said, hey, get into BMX or mountain biking. If you can't afford a dirt bike, find something that you're passionate about, that you love, that you can afford to get into, whether that's riding BMX or dirt jumping or mountain bikes or whatever. There's lots of cool things to do in life. You don't have to narrow it down to just motocross. You could have a blast doing lots of things. That was my advice before, but I think I have a better idea, all right? What I would do now is I would approach your parents from a business perspective. I would say this: I wanna start making money. I wanna start buying and selling dirt bikes. Could we come up with $1,000? Could I just get $1,000 to help me get started on this flipping business that I want to do? And your parents may say, yeah, no problem. Here's $1,000. We could swing that. As long as you are making good use of your time and you're learning and working hard to make money and improve yourself, here you go. They may say that, or they may say, I don't even have $1,000. I cannot afford $1,000. In which case, if your parents cannot afford $1,000, as a kid, you could make $1,000 within a few months. It's Christmas time almost right now, right? You could put up Christmas lights for people. You could clean rain gutters. I did that and made a lot of money when I was a lot younger. You go to a nice neighborhood with a lot of trees. Sometimes these 2-story, 3-story houses, the gutters get pretty darn high, and the homeowner does not want to risk climbing up there. If you're young and stupid like I was and willing to risk your health, you can make a lot of money climbing up on a roof and cleaning out rain gutters. Or in the summer, we actually did this as a family. We would go around painting addresses on curbs, and we made a few videos with the kids going around knocking on doors, asking people if they wanted their address painted for 20 bucks. We actually did that to help save up for the first dirt bikes that we ended up getting, all right? So $1,000 is totally a reasonable goal that you can set and achieve within a few months. Now, are you gonna get your dream dirt bike for $1,000? No, but what you can get is you could get a 10-year-old KLX. You can get maybe a KX65 for $1,000. Find one online that's maybe $1,300 or $1,500, message them and be like, hey, I got $1,000. If you take it, I'd be interested in giving you $1,000 for the bike. Half the time you're gonna get people that say, no, I don't wanna negotiate, but eventually you're gonna find somebody that will sell you their bike for $1,000. That bike's probably not gonna look great. The pictures they took are probably not gonna look very good. The bike's gonna be pushed over in the corner of a dark garage. So what you do is you take the bike, clean it up, clean the carburetor, maybe put some new graphics on it, make it look a lot better, and then you post it for sale for $1,500. And you wait until you get a full price offer. Well, you do the final shot, putting the seat on. That could take a few weeks. It could take a few months. Who cares? You've got a dirt bike that you're gonna ride for 3 months, and then you're gonna sell it for more than you paid for it. And now, instead of having $1,000 in your dirt bike fund, now you have $1,500 in your dirt bike fund. And then you can take that and buy an old YZ85 or whatever. Again, buy it cheap, fix it up, make it look nice, try to make a few dollars. You keep doing that, and eventually, I promise you, you're gonna have enough money to get the bike that you actually want. And here's a bonus tip, all right? This is a big bonus tip that I wish that I would have done when I was starting my channel. This would probably make you more money than actually buying and selling bikes. And that is to make YouTube videos. Why don't you document it? Why don't you say, I don't care where you are in your journey. Make your first video and say, hey guys, I am wanting to buy a dirt bike. This is my plan. This is what I'm gonna do. Currently I have $0. Currently I have $100. Currently I have $300. This week I'm aerating lawns, or I'm shoveling snow, or whatever. And keep updating people, and eventually people are gonna wanna follow the journey, and they're gonna wanna see where you're at, how much money you have, what bikes are you looking at. That's interesting content. That's what if I would go back, that's where I would have started in my YouTube journey. A lot of people ask me for shout outs, or they want tips on how to grow YouTube when they're not even posting videos yet. That's my advice. And you've got endless amounts of content. You're buying bikes, you're working on bikes, you're problem solving, you're trying to figure out solutions. Those things are all super interesting in YouTube videos. And if you do that, if you get to 20 videos of you documenting you trying to get your first bike, 20 videos, and I'll give you a shout out. All right, cool. All right, well, what to do if your parents suck or they don't love you. Unfortunately, this is probably more common than I would like to admit. A lot of times parents are selfish. Sometimes they're just not paying attention and they don't realize that something is as important to you. I mean, you could have posters on your wall. You could have nothing but magazines, be doing nothing but watching videos of dirt biking or whatever, but your parents may not put two and two together and be like, hey, he really likes this, we should get him into it. Sometimes they're just not paying attention. Other times they are paying attention, but they just don't care. They're just selfish. Maybe they have the money, but they'd rather spend the money on themselves. They'd rather spend the money leasing a luxury sedan, or eating out and drinking with friends. Or maybe they would rather spend their Saturdays golfing instead of taking you to the track or whatever. So what do you do in that situation? There's not a lot you can do except for look to the future. In this case, I would just say, hey, you're only gonna be a kid until you're 18, and that's really when life begins anyways. People live so much longer and they're active so much later and longer than they used to be. When I was a kid and I went to the track, I don't remember there being that many vet riders. And I surely don't think there were classes for 50 and over. Maybe 30. There may have been people, there may have been like a 30. I think there was over the hill. There was before the hill and over the hill. So there was like before 30 and after 30. Now there's classes and championships for people into their 50s. So I know it's hard now, but if you think about it, you're only gonna be a kid for a few more years, and then you have your whole life ahead of you where you can literally do whatever you wanna do. 30 years is not that old. 40 years, I'm almost 40 myself, and I feel like I'm the same person I was when I was 17. I still have the same likes. I still have the same interests. I still like doing the same things. I'm basically the same person. So don't think that if you're not able to ride dirt bikes or snowboard or jet ski or whatever it is that you want to do, don't think it's going to be that way for your whole life. You've got a full life. You've got a lot of years ahead of you to enjoy your passions and whatever it is you're interested in. So what do you do for the next however many years until you're 18? I guess just watch our YouTube videos. Good luck. If you guys have any success, if this helps out at all, please let me know. If even just like one kid, if one kid is able to get a dirt bike because of this video, then it was all worth it.